Hi, this is David Thompson for the live stream for Pavlov's house. So it's my first time doing a live stream, so hopefully this goes okay. Thanks for joining me. I'll be watching the live chat window in YouTube. So if you have any questions, you can just ask me there. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the Tabletop Simulator screen where I'll be playing Pavlov's house. Okay, so I've got the board now displayed. Everyone should be seeing the Pavlov's house screen. So again, if you have any questions about the game, just feel free to pop into the chat on YouTube and ask there. So I assume if you're here with the at the live stream, you've got some familiarity with the game. I'm not going to teach it in detail here. There's videos posted that walk you through that. But as I reach a new part of the game, as I introduce a new part, I will talk to that portion. So the first thing I'll do is set up the final bits of the game that need to be set. So I'm using all of the new cards that have been stretch goals or unlocked, the tactics cards, and I've also got the operational support cards that we have the stretch goals for. So pretty soon we'll be working towards those stretch goals, so I'll show you how those will work during the live stream. Okay, so the first thing we need to do to finish this up is to set the rest of the German deck. So we've got the German cards set out here, the decks. I'm going to go ahead and give them a shuffle, and then we'll just add the resupply cards to them. So that's all 5 decks shuffled. Let's go ahead and shuffle the resupply cards. So we're going to add these to the top of the deck and then build the deck itself. These resupply cards are the extras that we're not going to play with. And I'm going to be playing a game, the hardest level of difficulty, but I'm not going to be simulating a competitive game, so I won't have a third player. So I'm going to be getting rid of this extra card that would only be used if we had a player playing the German role. We also have the tactics cards, so we need to get rid of some of these to set the deck. So we will shuffle them. And we'll randomly remove some of these cards. Now we will set up the tactics deck. Okay, so now we're ready to play. We've got everything set. I've put supplies in Pavlov's house. I've set up the counters. So everything is ready to go. I'm just going to go ahead and show the operational support cards now, because we would reveal one at the beginning of the game anyway. So I'm going to reveal it and talk about let's use a different card, one that has a little bit more on it. So I'll talk about how exactly these work. So the first thing you'll notice is it's got victory points in the same way that the Storm Group cards do, and it's just showing you how many victory points you earn if you complete this card. And the way you complete it is just simply by discarding supplies. So these are supplies that the operational elements have here. So to complete the card, you would have to discard ammunition, food, and first aid. That means that you're discarding them from the game permanently. You can never get them back. And also you can see there at the bottom it says cannot be disrupted. So the 62nd Army cannot be disrupted, and the flotilla cannot be disrupted to do that. So you can take this action anytime that you get a 62nd Army card. So let's flip through here real quick just to show you. So anytime you have the 62nd Guards Army Command Post card, instead of taking the typical actions where you see the staging area with supplies or send a Storm Group assault, you could use it instead to take an action to supply one of the other theaters of battle in Stalingrad. So that's how these work. So this card is going to be up for completion. until it's completed. As soon as it's completed, we'll discard it and draw a new one. And you can build up as many victory points as possible that way. Of course, if you're spending your supplies doing that, you're not actually sending them to the defenders of Pavlov's house, which could lead to losing the game. Okay, so that's all the setup. That's the introduction to the support cards. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we do is we're going to, let's give this deck one more good shuffle. Draw 4 cards and choose which 3 actions amongst the 4 cards we want to take. So let's go ahead and put a communications here. We can use the 13th guards to provide some support to Pavlov's house. So we're going to go ahead and bring in, the decision here is to either bring in probably some machine gunners or some anti-armor capability. I think we're going to bring in, or actually, you know what, let's bring in some leaders. So let's bring in a leader and maybe a couple of machine gunners. Okay, so we're going to bring them into the reserves. So we discard this, we're going to discard this, and we can put an artillery token on one of our spaces. It's not a great draw for the first turn. We would like to have been able to place some supplies or do some anti-aircraft preparations, anti-aircraft gun preparations, but that's the luck of the draw. Okay, so now we'll go to the German deck. We're going to reveal 2 tactics cards. We're doing that because we're playing the most difficult level. So we reveal 2, and we're going to have 3 cards to deal with. So the 2 tactics are coordination. So anytime we place any infantry counter, so it could be scouts, riflemen, machine gunners, we're going to also place a rifleman separately. Okay, so it's just a coordinated attack. And then Stuka Strike is, we're adding an extra Stuka to every Stuka card that's drawn. Okay, so there we go. So we have some Stukas. So we're going to take, because we have no anti-aircraft guns to defend us, this could be really bad really early on. So 2 of them would normally attack. We have Stuka Strike, which means the 3rd one's going to attack us. So for each one that's attacking, we're going to roll 3 dice and look at the result. So a 10, so we're going to disrupt this space. Then the second one, a 12. And then the last one, because of the Stuka Strike again, we have another 12, which means it actually gets pushed to 13. Okay. On the second card, oh no, this is bad. This is very bad. Okay, so we're going to have to deal with another Stuka Strike. Normally it would be 3. We're going to raise it to 4. So 7. 4. And 12. So that actually would come up, it would hit 12, 13, and then go to 14, which just actually removes this token. Okay. And lastly, we have artillery attack. So we'll roll 1 dice to see which wall it's going to attack for in Pavlov's house. So it's going to be targeting the green wall. And what we see here is we just have a key. 1 to 2 was the green wall, which means this wall here. So it's going to target that wall, and it's going to be rolling 5 dice. You can see the 5 there. That's just saying how many dice we're going to roll. So we'll roll 5 dice, and if it's equal to or higher than the defense of the wall, then it's going to damage the wall. So you can see the wall's defense was 6. We rolled 6, a couple of 6s, so it knocks it down to 5. Okay, that was a very, very bad turn for the defenders, for the operational support element. So in case you're not familiar with the game, what we've done now is we've had multiple places on the board disrupted. So we've had one of our flotilla positions disrupted, and artillery is disrupted, these 2 anti-aircraft guns. So until we've replaced those, we cannot, until we remove those disrupted tokens, we can't place tokens there. The other one that was placed, and this is not super common, is we've actually had the 13th guards, so the unit that was in charge of the elements inside of Pavlov's house. It's disrupted too, which means we can no longer send reinforcements to Pavlov's house until we've cleared this. Okay, so now let's go to the defenders. We have three movements first. So the moves are resolved independently of actions. They can't be mixed together. So 3 moves to move tokens around. We need to get our commanders inside the house if we want to use their command ability. Right now, I think we would like to go in here and request via the radio, request for a machine gun to be brought in. That was the intent of bringing in a couple machine gunners, is to try to bring in a machine gun separately. But because this space is disrupted, we can't do that now. So we're going to go ahead and just start positioning some defenders in here to build up some suppression. So we're going to move in for the 3 moves. And then we have these tokens here, which are the action tokens. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you during this live stream, I'm going to forget to place these. Oftentimes, you'll be moving through this quickly. You'll forget to place them. It's just a fact of the matter that I probably will forget to place them. The intent here, the reason these are useful is it's not as important early on when you only have a few counters. But later in the game, when you have lots of counters in Pavlov's house and you're using actions and commands to refresh tokens, it's helpful to mark who's taking an action. So what we would wind up doing is we're going to suppress with each of these guys, and as soon as we suppress, we're going to place the tokens, and at the end of the turn, you remove them. So like I said, very easy when you only have a few, but later on it can get a little bit more. You really do need to use them to remember who's taking an action. Okay, so we're placing suppression tokens. That gives us the ability to watch out for attackers and defend against them. All right, and I'm just going to check on the website here. Looks like I got an email coming in, so I just wanted to see and respond to that. Okay, so sorry about that. Okay, so let's get back to it. So we've finished the first turn. Now let's go ahead and go back to the operational support element here. So we're going to start the next turn. So we'll reveal the next set of cards. All right, so now we know that we've got to get some air defenses going here. We really need to set up some defenses against the Stuka strikes. Otherwise, it's going to cripple us for really probably the beginning of the game, and the effects can be lasting. So we're going to go ahead and use this action to place the 1083rd, and we'll take another one. So we're just going to go ahead and set up some defenses here. We have an important decision. I think what we're going to do, because the option would be either to use this for the 1083rd to set up the anti-aircraft, or to go ahead and remove this token from the flotilla for when we have supply stage. But I think we're going to go ahead and set up anti-aircraft guns, and then we'll use this card to send supplies in. We know we're going to need some food and water. I think we'll probably want some ammunition. And let's go ahead and send a sapper and some first aid. So we've used the command card to send in supplies and the anti-aircraft cards to ready some air defenses. Hopefully we'll have a better chance at defending us the Stuka strikes. The other issue here is that because we're playing with these elite tactics cards, only one goes away, so one's going to get discarded. The Stuka strike stays in effect, so unfortunately we're going to have to deal with that again. And then we're going to have recon, which if you place a scout this time, if the Germans use a scout, they'll have the chance to place a second scout. Okay, so there's another batch of Stukas. Normally it would be 3, but there's an extra one for 4 because of the Stuka strike. We're just going to go ahead and spend both tokens here. For each token, anti-aircraft gun token we spend, we're going to roll 2 dice to defend against. So we're actually going to roll 4 total dice. And for every result of 4 or higher, we successfully defend against one of the Stukas. So you can see we rolled a 5, a 6, and a 4. So we've defended against 3 of the 4 Stukas, so only 1 gets through. And let's see what he's able to do. Okay, so 13. So we see that it can't be placed on 13 because it's already full, so it goes to 14. That's one of our communications spots. When those are disrupted, we take a Fog of War card and we add it to our discards. Okay, so placing a scout. So as I mentioned before, we have the recon card in effect. So if we place a scout, a second one can get placed. So the first thing we do is determine where it should go. So it's going to be placed on 5. Now we have a couple of suppression tokens in the red area here. The red area is it means it has line of sight to any of these 3 avenues of approach. That's red. So we can use one or both suppression tokens to try to suppress the scout. Now, if the initial scout is suppressed, the second one will not come onto the board. So I think what we're going to do is use both suppression tokens. And we're trying to roll against the scout's defense. He has a defense of 5. So we're going to roll both of them and hope to get a 5 or higher, which we do not. So the first scout gets placed. And then we're going to roll for the second scout. And it's a 2. We have the option to try to suppress the second scout. I don't think we're going to do it. We only have 1. It's not a very good chance to get it, so we're just going to leave him be. And the last one's yet another Stuka strike, so we're going to have 3 more. This is bad. So we roll, we get a 10. You can see it hits 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And yet another Fog of War card. 12. It's going to go up all the way up to 16. Another Fog of War card. This is a devastating beginning to the game. You can see the difficulty here with playing the hardest level, starting out with all these Stukas. So we had a 7 originally before I moved the dice. So it would be 7, 8. Okay, so now the operational elements here are going to be recovering from this for a while. They're going to be dealing with this. The defenders of Pavlov's house know they're going to have to hold out on their own. We've got a couple of scouts who are hard to hit coming in. We can't call in for reinforcements. So what can we do? We can get a commander in here. Probably go ahead and get both commanders in here. We'll let just one of them use his action. We're going to place an action token on him. He's going to command, so we'll place command tokens on the others. And that refreshes them, all 3 of them. We could take an action with Pavlov. We could suppress with them. We could attack with them. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm going to keep him ready to go for next round in case we need him. And honestly, there's no other actions we want to take right now. We can't take actions with these guys because you can't take an action and be refreshed in the same turn. So we're just going to wipe these off, and we're going to be ready for the next turn. But unfortunately, we weren't able to accomplish a lot that turn. It's just looking dire for our defenders. Okay, so here we go for the next turn. Now, what we really want to do, we want to do a couple of things here. We want to get this token off so that we can start calling in for reinforcements. We also want to keep our air defenses going so we can get through this initial push. Early in the German deck, it's very heavy with the Stuka strike. So if we can make it through, then that will give us a chance to slowly over time rebuild ourselves. So the first thing we're going to do is remove this token. Then we're going to place some anti-aircraft guns. So let's place one with one of these cards. And then let's call in for, actually let's, we could either remove a disruptor token, We can call in for some reinforcements, or we can clear one of these communications. So I think this is a tough call. I think I'm going to go ahead and just remove this disruption token. Okay. Remove the Stuka strike, thankfully. I think we've seen enough of it. Okay, resupply. We're going to have to resupply. Note that we haven't even gotten any supplies over in Pavlov's house yet, so we're in bad shape. And air superiority. So we're going to add 1 to the defense for all the junkers for the turn. Okay, so we're going to do an artillery strike. So it's targeting the red wall, top wall here. It's attacking with 4 dice. So you can see it got a 6. So we move this down. Next up, placing a rifleman. So he's going to be placed on position 3 here. We cannot suppress. We don't have anything in red, so he's going to get placed. And that's it. We resolve these. Now we need to resolve this resupply. So we have to spend 1 food token for every 5 defenders. We have less than 10, so we're going to spend both of these food tokens. And this becomes the first storm group assault. So we can see, to accomplish this, to attack the metalworker's house, we need to have the 2 green avenues of approach clear. The metalworker's house has a defense of 12. So for every person from Pavlov's house we send towards it, we can roll a 6-sided die. We need to get a total of 12 or higher to accomplish it. And if we do, we get 6 victory points. As a reminder, we haven't even thought about accomplishing this operational support because we've been so far behind that the flotilla is disrupted, so we couldn't even send it if we wanted to. Okay, so now let's look at the defenders in Pavlov's house. This space is freed up, so we could send someone to the radio if we wanted. And I think we probably will do that. We also need to start thinking about some of these guys that are going to start attacking. So maybe we will send one of our riflemen here as one of our moves, and let's just leave the machine gunners in here until we've got a machine gun for them to use. There's no reason to put them in harm's way. So we're going to use the rifleman here. That's his action. He's going to bring a machine gun in. And we will take a we're going to take an attack action here. Take a shot at this rifleman. All right, we missed. Okay. And then we're going to recover, I think. So normally we would place an action token there, but since he's the last one, we know that we'll clear him immediately anyway, and that's it for this turn. Okay. We know now we've got a lot of competing priorities here. We really need to get some supplies moved into flotilla to move it back to the house. We know we're going to ultimately need to resupply. We don't have any extra anti-aircraft. This fog of war is just going to fill up our choices here. So I think the first thing we'll do is use the flotilla card to clear this space. Then let's use this flotilla card to load it up. We're going to put a couple of water and some ammunition. And then this 13th guards card to bring in some additional reinforcements. So we probably should want to go ahead and bring in some anti-tank riflemen now before we need them, before it's too late. So we're going to go ahead and bring in the Inspire, the anti-tank rifleman with the Inspire action, who improves the potency of all the anti-tank riflemen in the house, and then also the rifle itself. Okay, so now to the German deck. And you can see that we are now in deck 2. So we've moved to the next set. And we have another rifle strike. Now camouflage just adds 1 to the +1 to the defense for all infantry. So anytime this card is up, all the infantry are going to get a +1. Okay, so for artillery, it's targeting the red wall. We get 3 dice to target it with. and we see that 6 knocks it down to rolling a 6 knocks it down to a 5. Okay, next up, we place a Panzer III. Okay, so glad we started bringing in that anti-tank rifleman. So it goes to this third path that pushes the rifleman forward, and we have our first real threat coming in towards Pavlov's house. And then lastly, one more artillery strike. So we rolled a 1, so it's going to be the red wall. It's going to be rolling 3 dice. And we can see that none of these are equal to 5 or higher, so there's no actual damage to the wall. So we can breathe easy just for a moment. Okay, it would be nice if we could bring in the last anti-tank rifleman we would need to deploy this gun to try to take a shot at the Panzer. But we have a token sitting in the radio that's exhausted, a counter. So no one can move in here and push him out of the way. So we're going to need to recover him so that he can bring him in if we wanted to take that action. But now we do have the machine gun team ready to go, so we're going to bring those guys in. That's 2 of our 3 move. We're going to bring them in so they can cover both green and red avenues of approach. So in this corner, they can access both. So that's 2 points of our movement. I think we're going to leave everyone else alone where they are. Maybe, actually, no. We'll move this defender here against the wall. Okay, so that's our move accounted for. We're going to take actions with both machine gunners. That allows them to use the machine gun, and we're going to place 3 suppression. 1, 2, 3 in the red area, so it's ready to use when we need it. So that's 2 of our 3 actions. So we'll go ahead and just go through the motions here to do it right, place the action tokens on them. And then we're going to take, we need to take an attack action here. I think instead we'll use one of our leaders to take an action to command these 2 to get them back up. And I think we're done. So we're ready for the next turn. Okay. Now, as a reminder, we could now, if we get a 62nd Army card up, we could actually accomplish this because the flotilla's no longer disrupted. So if we get that card up, we do have that option available to us. The first thing we want to do is use the flotilla to deliver these much-needed supplies, so we don't have to worry about that, at least for the near term. Then let's take this. We'll take the 267th, and we're going to clear off one of these disruptions. And we'll take, we're going to clear off some of the communications here. Now, if we were to get all 4 of these communication spaces covered with communication tokens, that would allow us to have 4 actions every turn, every time it comes up to this player's turn, which would hugely help us. Having those 4 actions is a great advantage. However, you can see that would be 6 actions right now just to clear those off, which is to clear these off and then to load them. So that's a huge investment. Something we'll try to work towards, but it's very hard to pull it off. Okay, now let's go to the German card deck. Okay, and ready the tactics cards. Okay, artillery barrage. So we would roll an extra dice anytime we attack with artillery. So we're going to place a rifleman, and he's going to go in 4. So we have 3 suppression. We could try to suppress him. Just keep in mind, however, that camouflage is still in effect. So if we do this, we need to roll a 5 or higher. And I think we are going to probably just wait out this camouflage. So we're just let him be placed and hope that we can make it through. Next one, oh, another rifleman. Okay, this is getting a little bit dire. Let's see where he's going to be placed. 6. Now, once again, let's let him be placed. We'll deal with him later. And then lastly, the Stuka strike. Okay, we're going to go ahead and spin this token, or the Stukas. We'll spin the token. We get to roll 2 dice to defend. We defended against one of them. We rolled a 6 and a 2, so we defended 1. So only 1 makes it through. And let's see what he strikes. So he strikes at space 8, so he's going to fill up one of the anti-aircraft guns. Okay. Not too bad of a turn. We made it through there. We really want to go ahead and get this Panzer taken care of. We're letting tokens build up here kind of dangerously. So we are going to call in for an anti-tank rifleman. We would have moved to the beginning of the turn, but there was no one I wanted to move. We just let them be where they are. So the first action was here. We should have cleared these at the end of the last turn. The first action would be here. For our second action, I think we will probably just going to take shots at these riflemen. I guess, it's tough. I think no. The better option now is to we'll definitely suppress. So we're going to add 2 more, and the reason for that is we're going to wait through this camouflage so we have better chances to hit newly placed guys. One thing I forgot to do when I placed the ammo token is as soon as it comes in, the ammo is converted into 5 suppression tokens. So we're going to take those 5 suppression, which you can see that we need that. Yeah, so we will, I think I placed the 2 suppression tokens there. I've now forgotten. So we'll take those 2 actions, and then we're going to wipe those. Can't remember now if I've placed those. So that's the problem with playing in public. You can't fake it if you've forgotten. Okay, we're going to say I took those actions. So and we're back. Our staging area is pretty empty. It would be nice to build up some more supplies. You can see our suppression is running a little bit low. Our food, we have just enough. Thanks. I appreciate the heads up. Okay. So our food's running low. We definitely need to keep that in mind as we're probably getting close to another resupply. We still are going to need to clear out this area here with disruption. So, and of course, there's the constant threat of the Stuka strikes. So there's a lot of things to think about. I want to go ahead and get our supplies going. So I want to go ahead and get a couple of food. Let's actually just put 3 food in there. How about another first aid and another ammunition? Okay, and then let's look at our anti-aircraft. I think we can probably go ahead and stand up hood 1 here, just as an extra line of defense. And let's go ahead and get another leader in Pavlov's house. So we're going to take this action to put 6 more points, and we're going to get a leader and maybe put a couple more riflemen in there. And I said, well, we'll put machine gunners in there. And the reason we're doing that is for a couple of things. First of all, we may need another machine gun later on. We almost certainly will. But also because we need to build up some forces if we ever want to make a run at some of these storm group assaults. Okay, now, the German turn. Okay, yeah, I'm looking through trying to think of what we want to do here with our upcoming turn with our anti-tank riflemen. Okay, so on the German turn, left flank means that when we're placing new tokens, we're going to be rolling 3 dice instead of 1, and we'll take the lowest result. So what we're looking at is more likely having units clump here on one side of the board. And artillery barrage is still in effect. So the first thing is placing the Panzer II. So we'll roll for it. Placing it at 5. Pushing the scout forward. Oh, I just forgot what I was supposed to do. So I said, just like I said, it was left flank. So I rolled a 5, but let's see. We should have rolled 3 dice and taken the lowest result, which is a 4. So it should have actually been placed here. And then the same for the rifleman. We'll roll 3 dice and see where he goes. He's going to be placed in the lowest result, which is a 2. We don't want to keep allowing these guys to push forward. So we only have one suppression, but we're going to go ahead and spend it. Hopefully we're able to, we don't have camouflage and effect anymore. Hopefully we're able to get a 4 or higher, which we do. So the rifleman never gets placed and he doesn't push the scout forward. So that's great. And then lastly, the Stuka strike. So we're going to spin this, or the Stukas. It's 3 of them. We get to roll 2 dice. And we defend against 1. So 2 of them will attack. Let's see what damage they do. So 8. So that actually goes to 9. And then eight again, which goes to 10, 11, so it knocks off this artillery. Okay, now we've got our anti-tank riflemen. We finally got them ready. We've got a leader here. We're definitely going to put the leader in the house. And the reason I say that is we now have all 3 leaders finally in the building. That allows us to take 4 actions, not just 3 for every turn. So that's going to be one of our moves. Then the other 2 moves will be to take these anti-tank riflemen and put them in the house. They're going to be able to cover both red and purple from this position. So we have 3 actions. We're going to take a shot at this Panzer III with 2 of those 3 actions. So place this here. We would normally roll 4 dice against it, but because we have the Inspire, we get to roll an extra dice. So we're going to be rolling 5 against the Panzer. It has a defense of 5, so we need a 5 or higher on any of these dice. And we get it, so we successfully take it down. So a good moral victory for our defenders. Okay, so that was our first action. Now we have a lot of different options here. Probably the best option at this point is to use one of our leaders, exhaust them to flip over some counters. So we're going to recover these 2 and him. And so we would have put an action token here and command tokens on these guys, but we are going to immediately clear those off, so it's not a big deal. Okay, next set of operational cards. Now, when we get through these this time, just keep in mind we've added quite a bit. We've added 3 more Fog of War to this deck, so because of the early damage we did. So a lot of our draws in the next, once we've shuffled, a lot of the draws are going to have a lot of Fog of War that we'll need to try to get through. So we continue to have these problems with the anti-aircraft guns. They continue to get disrupted. We need to stay ahead of that. I don't know necessarily that we need to deploy forces, but I guess actually let's do this. Let's go ahead and bring in Chekhov. We're going to go ahead and bring in our sniper. So we have that almost certain kill when we need it. It's always nice to have. And then with the other actions, we don't really need more tokens brought in. We cannot take a shot at the storm group because this path is not clear. And I don't know if we want to give up the resources here. We can give up ammunition, food, and first aid for 4 victory points. We can do it now. We have the chance. I think instead, though, I want to go ahead and build our air defenses back up. So let's place 1 here and then clear one of these spaces. And of course, this is the constant tug of war in the game, right? Because obviously we want to accomplish this. It would be both an investment of an action and precious resources. And then similarly, we've got to clear this before we can even make a shot, make a run at this. So that scout with a 5 defense, that's a pretty heavy investment. Well, now that we've got our sniper, we might just try to be able to take him out. Okay, so let's move on. Reveal a new tactics card. So infantry strike. So now anytime we place an infantry, we're going to immediately resolve an assault effect for all the infantry on the board. So assault, okay, the way this works is we're not going to go through each color. We'll resolve for infantry trying to suppress and armor attacking the building. So we go by each color first. So green, there's 1 scout, so he's attack value of 1. So first we see which defender he's targeting. So he's targeting the defender in the 3 position. There's no one there, so it goes to 6. And he's only got an attack value of 1, so he's only going to roll 1 dice. and this is a 6, so that's higher, the equal to or higher than the defense of the wall. So he's successful, so he successfully suppresses or disrupts the defender. Okay, in red, we have 1, 2, 3. It's the total of suppression value. We're going to see which area they target. They target 4. They're using 3 dice. And we see that we get a 5 and a 6. Both of those are equal to or higher than 6. So once again, we've suppressed. And in purple, we have 1 dice. So we're going to roll. We see that we're targeting 1, which is one of our leaders, and suppressing unsuccessfully. That's great. So, and now the only thing we have left to resolve for is the Panzer II. So it's got 1 attack value. It's going to make an attack against the red wall. So we needed a 5 or higher, and it didn't, so it missed. So now we've resolved the assault card. Okay, mortar. Mortar works similar to what we just went through. So we're going to pick a wall first. It's the green wall. Then we're going to pick a position. The 2 position. And this is bad because it's not suppressing just one of the defenders, but actually both. So it suppresses with 4 dice. So the green wall has a defense of 5. We see that we roll a 6 and a 5. So both of the 2 defenders there get suppressed. Okay, and then lastly, we place machine gunners. So remember infantry strike. So if we place an infantry counter, we're going to execute an assault. So we really do not want this counter to be placed. So let's see what happens. We roll, we get a 4, so we get placed here. Not only would it push this forward, but we would get an infantry assault. We've got 5 tokens here. How many of these do we want to spend on trying to get this rifleman not to be placed? This is a big deal. I think we're going to spend 3 of these. We need a 4 or higher. We're going to roll 1 dice for each suppression token we spent. Need a 4 or higher, and we got it, so he never gets placed. Okay, so we dodged a bullet there. Now let's go to our defenders. We have a lot of guys with that are suppressed. We've got a couple of guys that are exhausted. Our anti-rifleman's already gone. I'd like to get this sniper out to take out the scout, so we could try to storm group assault this. We start with all of our leaders in the house. We're going to get 4 actions. So for a move action, I'm going to move the sniper here. There's no real reason to bring these machine gunners in, so we're going to leave it like that. So that will be our move action. So as a regular action for him, he's going to take a shot at this scout. He's rolling 4 dice. So he needs a 5 or better, which he does not get. Oh, that's terrible. Okay, very uncommon for him to miss, but he does, and it happens. Okay, so that's one of our actions. For our second action, let's give our last remaining leader an action to recover. So he's going to use his command. He's going to recover 1, 2, 3. And again, normally you would place the command tokens, but we can remember which one we just did. And then lastly, we need to get another one of these leaders back in the game, so we're going to get Pavlov. We're going to recover him. Okay. Draw our 3 remaining cards. We're going to shuffle the discard deck and draw 1. And we haven't even really thought about the artillery. It's as the game progresses, we see we have a couple of spots here, which especially this avenue here where artillery would be good for. It's especially good late game to give you the versatility of being able to target both personnel and armor simultaneously. But I think let's go ahead and use flotilla cards while we have them to get some food over, so we know we have it when we need it. Let's get some food and ammunition, because we've been burning through that pretty quickly. Okay. And actually, you know what? Let's just go ahead and deliver it. So we're not going to toy around with this. We're not going to risk the chance of losing any of these precious resources. Okay. And then finally, let's go ahead and load up a little bit more anti-aircraft. Now for the Germans. So we have infantry strike, which was already in effect. We were talking about, and right flank, which is just the same as earlier with left flank, except it's going to be 3 dice and take the highest result. So we're going to place a scout. We will place a scout on 2, and this is bad. So placing the scout here, we can't suppress it because we don't have anything in green. We'll place a scout there, and then we're going to conduct an infantry assault because that infantry strike card. So 2 dice for green. First we have to see where it affects. It's going to affect the 4 position. So we see it did not meet the defense. Did I roll 3 dice or just 2? Yeah, so the right flank is you roll 3 dice and use the highest. Oh, of course. Thank you. Once again, I forgot it. So, yes, so let's go back. We'll retrace our steps here for 1 second. So it should have been 3 dice for the scout placement. Thank you. And so the result should have been 3. So this is actually this is going to give us a good option here. So again, if he gets placed, we'll do the infantry assault. So let's go ahead and spend our 2 suppression we have left. And hopefully one of these 2 dice is successful. Okay, it is. So we rolled a 5, which is the scout's defense, so he never gets placed. So you may have saved the defenders of Pavlov's house. All right, so the Stuka. We will spend, I think we're going to spend both of these in an effort to get ahead of these guys. So we're going to roll 4 dice against the 3 Stukas. All right, so we defended against 2 of them. So only 1 makes it through. And it's a 4. Oh, that's not good. Okay. And then lastly is a Panzer 3. So right flank. So once again, it's a 3. And that's it for this turn. Okay. So we have something about our machine gun. We know we probably want to go ahead and get some suppression going. You can only do suppression in one of the 2 colors, even though they're on the corner here. They can only do it in red or green. They can't split it across. We probably want to, I don't know where this, let's clear these action tokens. We want to get our anti-tank gunners back in the game here. So we probably want to use a command token to do that. It wouldn't be a bad idea to get our sniper back ready. So why don't we use command with Pavlov, one of our 4 actions. We're going to recover 1, 2, 3. And now I'm going to go ahead and start placing these because we've got 4 actions going. We've got lots of pieces on the board. And it's probably a good idea to remind ourselves what we've done. So Pavlov has taken his action. We've got some command tokens. Let's take 2 actions with the machine gunners to place 3 suppression in red. That gets us up to 3 of our 4 actions. And I think as much as I'd like to take a shot at clearing off green, I think let's go ahead and just refresh one of our leaders so we can keep the command going. And that will let us wipe our tokens. Okay, now we're starting to see the effects of fog of war here. So we could use the communications to permanently just remove fog of war and draw a new card. And I think in this case, that's exactly what we're going to do. We don't want these fog of war cards coming up again for the last shuffle. So let's use one of these. We'll remove fog of war. We're going to draw a new card. We want to go ahead and remove this because we don't want to be in a situation where we desperately need reinforcements that don't have that ability. So we're going to go ahead and remove the disruption. It gives us one more action. We could resupply. We could complete this operational support, and maybe we should at this point. But at the same time, having air defenses is also very important. So this is a tough call. I think let's just go ahead and do it just as an example of doing it. So we'll take the 60-second guard action. We're going to support the northern landing stage. So we're going to permanently discard 1 ammunition, 1 food, and 1 first aid from the game. So we'll just place them on the card, and at the end of the game, if we make it through, we'll score 4 victory points. And let's see we'll move this out of the way. And the next one is the Red October Factory. So you can see it's more difficult to complete. Obviously, it's worth more points, but we would need sappers to help complete that, and we would also need artillery support, so that can't be disrupted. All right. So air superiority again, it just adds into defense to the Stukas. Okay, a sniper. So exactly the reason why, at least I thought we brought a first aid. I must have never delivered it. So at this point, if I wind up getting one of our leaders killed, it's on me because I put first aid in the supplies and just never brought it over. So let's see what happens. Cross your fingers. So it's 5, so it's the purple wall, which does not bode well for our leaders. He's going to be targeting Naumov with 4 dice. And he got him. Okay. If I had had a first aid token here, which I definitely should have, we could have discarded that to save Naumov, but we didn't. So we have our first casualty of the game. The sniper got him, and now we no longer can have 4 actions in Pavlov's house. Very difficult, very painful mistake there. All right, so now let's place machine gunners. So right flank is still in effect. So we'll roll 3 dice. And he's placed on 6. We can't, we don't have any suppression there, so we can't suppress him. And that's it for these guys. The resupply takes effect. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 guys. So we have to discard 3 food. And a new storm group is in effect. We were never able to get to the metalworker's house. So now the rail worker's house is in effect. We would have to clear purple. So we'd have to clear this path to make a run at it. Okay, so the defenders of Pavlov's house. Okay, morale is shaken. They lost one of their leaders. We've got to fight back. We've got these tanks bearing down on us. We do have our anti-tank riflemen ready to go. We probably want to get some of our leaders recovered. We have our sniper. If we're going to get purple cleared off, we'll need our sniper to do it. So let's move him over. So we're going to move him there. I don't think we're going to take any other move actions. So for 1 action, we'll take a sniper shot at, let's take it, the machine gunners. So it's a 4. And I got him. So the machine gunner's down. I'll go ahead and play the action, place the action token, just so we remember. And then what are we going to do? We can either get one of our leaders ready or take a shot at the Panzer. I think let's go ahead and let's invest in getting both leaders ready. So we have that option when we need it later. Just to see where the threat is, be able to react to it. Okay, once again, some of the same options we had before. Do we want to get rid of the fog of war? Do we want to recover these? I think, why don't we get some air defense back loaded up? Why don't we go ahead and start clearing off some of these tokens? Oh, this might be a lost cause. Let's go ahead and, I tell you what, let's go ahead and load up some artillery, and we'll bring in, no. What are we going to do? This is tough. I tell you what, let's get rid of this Fog of War as our second action and see what this card reveals for us. All right. We're just going to go ahead. That way we can have our air defenses covered and we can concentrate on other actions as we go. Okay, our good friend Stuka Strike is back. That's great. So we're going to place a Panzer. So we have air superiority and Stuka Strike in effect. So if we get any Stukas, it's going to be bad news for the good guys. Okay, so the Panzer based on 6, just as we were going to try to clear that for our Stone Reap Assault. Assault card. So first thing we have is the Scouts here in green. So they're going to target space 2. He's only got a 1 attack value, so he's going to roll 1 against both of those guys, and got them both. Oh my goodness. Okay. So when you suppress the space with 2 guys, you suppress both of them, so they're both suppressed. Then we have a 1, 2, 3 total here, so we're going to target space 2. Oh, this is bad. I didn't mean to zoom in like that. Sorry about that. This is bad. If they're successful with their 3 dice roll, you can't place a second suppression token. They will actually be killed. They'll become casualties. So 4 is not successful. So they managed to live through it. That was a 4 roll. Okay, and then in purple, let's roll 1 dice to see what's targeted. 1 and 1 dice to see the effect. It's not successful. That's good. And now we need to resolve for the armor. So we have 2, 3 total targeting the red wall. And we see we're successful. That's not good. And then just a 1 for the purple wall. Oh, no. Okay, knocking it down. So damage to the walls. And then a Stug. Okay. Things are dire. All right, so the Stug is going to get placed on 5. Okay. Now we've got a few problems here. I think it's definitely time for our anti-tank riflemen to do their job. We need to get another machine gun crew in here. These guys are they're disrupted. They are exhausted. We can use both of our leaders to refresh them. And probably that's what we'll do this turn. We'll use one of them. But I think for now, we need to use our anti-tank riflemen. So we're going to use both of them to target the Stug. So it's going to be 5 dice against 5 defense. And we see we're successful. So we can take the Stug off. Those 2 of our 3 actions. I'm not going to place the token. We're going to go ahead and take a command action here. And we're going to do 1, 2, and recover our sniper. Okay. We have only 1 food left. We've got 1 more resupply coming up eventually. We need to get to it. We also have 1 food here. Why don't we go ahead and do 1 big last sort of resupply push? So let's bring in 1, 2. Let's see, we have enough. If we can get it there. Let's see. This should be plenty. Just trying to think through how much we actually need to take. Let's just have it be 1. So we'll take 2 of those, a first aid, ammunition, and sappers. It would be nice to get some sappers across too to start rebuilding some of those walls. So that's what we're going to put in. And then let's send some of this across. So let's just go ahead and get our food over there, and let's let's get a sapper. I feel like we're okay on suppression. We need to get a sapper over there to rebuild the walls. And then we're good on anti-aircraft. Why don't we clear off one of these construction tokens? We have the chance. Now for the Germans. Okay, offensive. So if we attack with armor, or if we suppress with the assault card, if that happens to come up at the same time as it's offensive, they all get a extra dice. So it would be devastating to draw the assault card now. Okay, so rifleman on 1, we can't suppress it, and we've got to get some suppression. I know that I'm just going to have to get it. We've got these 2 machine gunners here. I'll be able to bring in a gun and get them back. We also could try to recover these guys, but I feel like we're really going to need to be able to suppress here towards the end. Okay, machine gunners on 6. Again, we can't suppress, and things are looking bad here on this path. And then a Panzer 3. 1. Okay. Now note that I could have just lost the game. If I had rolled a 6 here, the Panzer would have got placed. I would have had no chance to stop it, and they would have pushed in. So we now are at the point in the game, a little over halfway through the game, where we're really going to be dealing with almost constant threat of losing to the German assault. So basically putting out fires every turn to try to make it. I'm not going to move anybody. I think we're good. We need to take down this path. It shouldn't be that hard. Most of the guys in here are not that strong for defense, so we should be able to get it down fairly easily. So I think what we'll do is we're going to take 1 action to bring in a machine gun. Take 1 action with our sniper to get a surefire shot on these machine gunners here. Oh yeah, we got that. That helps us for a second, buy some time. And then let's take 1 action with Pavlov to refresh these guys, and then that's it. Okay, so again, this fog of war is eating us alive. We're going to use our communications to just permanently discard a fog of war, reveal a new one. Perfect. So now we can spend our flotilla action to deliver these. And our air defense action, or do we want to send any more defenders in? I don't think we do. I don't think we need them right now. So let's use our air defense action to remove a token. Offensive is still in effect in case the assault card is drawn. Coordination. Remember, we had coordination early on in the game. That allows an extra infantry to be placed if one is revealed and placed on the board. Okay, so it's an artillery strike against the red wall. So let's roll 3 dice against it. And the result knocks it down. If the red wall was to get hit again now, it would disrupt everyone along the wall. So we really need to get sappers over here. We've got 1. We need to get sappers over and repairing the wall. A sniper? Oh no. He targets the red wall. Its defense is 3, so he's almost certainly going to be successful. And he specifically targets position 1. Okay. And he's successful. Now we get the choice of who we want to remove. So it doesn't, we look at them and it doesn't matter which. So we're just going to pick 1, and we have our second casualty. And then finally, scouts. Now, again, we don't want the scout to get placed because of coordination. We have very limited suppression, though, so let's see if we have the opportunity. So he gets placed on 4. We're going to spend all 3 suppression we have. to get the scout not to be placed. And we are unsuccessful. So the scout gets placed on 4. And then if we look at coordination, we also place an extra rifle and we roll for it separately on 4, and we just lost the game. So what happened was, because of coordination, the extra rifleman would get placed. He would push this rifleman forward, and that ends the game. So I'll take a minute here. That was a pretty good game. One thing that you probably noticed, especially if you were watching from the very beginning, we kind of got behind the 8 ball at the very start with the complete almost annihilation of all the support elements there. So when they were crippled, it really makes things difficult to get ahead and try to use, like, for example, use the communications to have 4 actions per turn. Our fog of war, because of the same effect, we had a ton of fog of war that really clogged up our deck. So because of the damage to the support element, the sort of follow-on effect is it left the defenders in Pavlov's house really on their own to try to do what they could. Now we were able to get guys over there, but we always were sort of behind just behind the curve as far as trying to stay ahead of the German attackers. It would have been really nice. We were successful in getting the commanders over there, but because I was so starved for oh yeah, thanks for watching. But because we were so starved for the bare necessities of the supplies, we weren't able to get first aid. So hopefully that gave you a good example of all the different actions. The only thing that you wouldn't have seen necessarily was how final scoring would work. If you've watched the playthroughs, you know, but I'll walk through that just for an example. Had we had an opportunity to go after a storm group, we would have had one of these paths cleared. We would have taken the 60-second army action. We would have launched a storm group assault. And what that means is we can allocate defenders from Pavlov's house to it. And for every defender we send at it, we'd roll a 6-sided dice. And if we're able to be equal to or higher than defense, we're successful in accomplishing the storm group assault. We also then have to roll for every guy to come back and live through it. And there's actually not a very good chance of that. So you lose a lot of casualties during the storm group assaults. And at the end of the game, beyond just those points and beyond the points for the operational support, you're going to add up all the guys who were left alive in Pavlov's house. You get a point for each of them, and then you lose 3 points for every German that's still on the board, and that's your final score. And oftentimes the score will be close to 0. Maybe you scored around 5 to 10 points. That's a marginal victory. Less than 0 is a defeat. And once you started getting into about 20 plus points, that's a great victory. Especially, we played the highest level of difficulty. We played with 2 tactics cards, and you could really see the effect. And also, as a reminder of the tactics cards, the effect they had. Remember at the beginning when I was stacking the deck, I shuffled and removed 2 from each. And the result of the randomness of the German deck, the randomness of the tactics deck, and the sequence of play for the operation support cards, that really results in a very, very different game every time. So you can see, just because we were unable to get our air defenses going early, coupled with the Stuka strikes that we had early on, it really shaped the rest of the game. And every game sort of plays out in a different way based on the sequencing of the German cards and the tactics cards. So I really appreciate you joining for the live stream. I'm still watching the comments, so if anybody has any comments, I can take them now and answer any questions about the game. I'll stay on for just a few minutes, but otherwise, that'll be it.